You raised some important questions also about possible alternatives, and I hope we will have a chance to discuss it after the two other presentations. The next one is Seiko Ohashi on, you will go there, so we will move then from here. The title is Alternative Education, Hands-on Farm for Rural Youth.
Excuse me, give me a minute. I opened a different file. Here you go. Hi, good afternoon. I'm sorry to wait you long. My name is Seiko Ohashi. Actually, I'm a nationality as Japanese, but I have been living in the Philippines. It's not a capital city, Manila, but down south to that, island, small island, population of that 3 million, called Negros Island. Actually, that was a Spaniard put the name because there's so many black people is there. But what I'm talking now is that since this morning, we are listening, we are debating so much on the macro base of the global economy and then farmer situation, peasant situations. But I would like to share with you this time is that the very, very concrete practice and challenges what we are doing now in the Philippines. Actually, our activity is based on the solidarity movement between Japan and the Philippines, almost 25 years ago, 30 years ago, during the time of the Marcos dictatorship. And after that, it came to that so-called democracy, people's power from the Aquino regime. But that time, sorry that my PowerPoint, I was looking for the map of the Negros, but actually I couldn't find it. So especially those came from that other continent of that Asia, maybe it's very difficult to see that the map of that, where's the Philippines, where's the Malaysia, Indonesia. But the Philippines has 7,000 islands, and the Negros Island is one of that. But it's about 30 years ago, there was a very heavy starvation happened in that this island. Because of that sugar monopoly economy, we call it the monoculture economy. This is also related to that colonizations, long years colonization in the Philippines. Philippines has been in 400 years under the Spanish, and then 50 years under the US, 4 years under the Japanese, colonizations, and then the independence. Even after the independence 60 years ago, still that very strong landlord system and the agrarian reform issue is quite crucial for the small peasants. And then especially Negros Island is about 250 years ago. The monoculture, I mean that the sugar plantations supposed to at that time is export to that Europe and US. And then this sugar plantation system has been continued until now. Even we have that very good comprehensive agrarian reform, supposed to be that quite good constitutions. But then because of that, those politicians and then even that the village chief all relate to that landlord elite class, so many different implementations happened, and then still 60% of the agrarian reform has been achieved, but in the island of the Negros, still 40% of the fertile land is still covered by big landlord system of the sugar plantation. And then 30 years ago, there was a very massive starvation came in this island, because we call it sugar crisis, because of the, again, at the time that the international market of the price of the sugar has been totally down, and then landlords stopped harvesting that sugar cane, and then that was the time that there was no work for the sugar workers in that plantation, no work, no wage, no rice, and then massive number of the children got starved. That is a time that we started that, a sort of that emergency campaign for these Negros in Japan. That is at the starting our relations between Japan and the Negros Island 30 years ago. And then we supposed to finish that kind of the emergency campaign for aid within that 1 year or 2 years. But at that time, during the time, those, still very hardship of that the sugar workers saying that what we need is that not fish, but fish net. Fish we receive is that we finish within today. But what we need at the fish net, we can survive. That is a quite strong message that they don't want to go back to that, wage labor. They need the land, and they need to be that the farmer to succeed to that another generation. For that, they are producing their own food. And then since then, last 10 to 15 years, our relation between Japan and Negros has been working out so many different kind of the project because they don't have anything. Okay, so starting from the credit assistance, farm imports, everything. But most of the project has been failed. And then we had a very big evaluations about a sort of this kind of project-based assistance or aid or whatever has been whatever you like or not, but creating that is another disease among the farm workers. We call it as a dependency disease. Dependent disease. And then later on, we also found that, aside from that capital or money or tools, it's a sort of that, value of the farmers, sugar workers, don't mean they are wage workers. So they say that, for the farmers who bankrupt, it's easy to become that, workers overnight. But those 100 years of that the sugar workers or farm workers received just by wage, it's very difficult to become the farmer. Even they got the land after the very strong agrarian reform struggle. Gradually they got the land, but when they become the farmer, it's at a quite long time process of the mentality, culture, and then a kind of the consciousness. How do we change it? So it's about 5 to 4 years ago, we decided to have some farmers really discuss about some needs of the place for the farmers to how to change this culture of the workers to farmers, this kind of the culture. And at the same time, they badly need sort of that, young generation, rural youth. I think this is the same thing happening all over the world, is that the rural youth is really wants to go to city to get at a good job. So we don't say migration like in the China's massive way, but still in the Philippines, from the rural area to that, transfer to the big cities that has been a very big problem for the many years. And then especially like those plantation-based agriculture economy. If you say agriculture or if you say farmer, it means it's a quite second-class citizens sort of that social discrimination is still very strong. So farmers are very, not to say proudly I'm a farmer. If you say I am a farmer, meaning to say I'm very poor, and then I didn't educate it. So this mentality is still very, very strong, existing in that, especially that young generation. That's why we need at some place to have a chance for that rural youth, young generation, especially who has no chance to go to school, who has no chance to go to especially the college to get that so-called, according to them, as a good job, is a wage labor. But those students, we are now get together to, we call it the farm rural campus, that is at 5 hectares. 5 hectares farm, we are now working out together with them. And then those students is only 17 to 20 years old. And then actually the elementary level to high school level, they really want to go to study into the college, but because of the economical reason they couldn't make it. They entered this rural school. This is actually the hands-on farm which the rural school. They were only 17 years old. But now, without them, if day-to-day's farm couldn't manage at all, within 2 to 3 years, they can really make this farm more profitable. We're starting only 20 piglets, become a mother pig, and then after 2 years, it's going to become that 150 pigs, this is at the main income of that this farm. And then at the same time, those youth, young generation, has that different kind of that way. And then, okay, mother pig, after they gave the birth, it's become a very tight cage. They has been always sitting. So they gave them that more, practicing place to base that the sunset. This kind of ideas really came from those young generation. And then aside from the selling the pig, they now try to make this kind of the sausage. And then this farm is that the sort of that, we call it integrating natural circularity farm, how that this practice can be duplicated into the different communities. Actually, this farm is already related with the 11 communities. And then those communities discussed to send that, trainees in this farm. And then different kind of that, we call it appropriate technology, we are also using here. And then for instance, that from those piggeries, all sludges, waters, we treated again into that, another liquid fertilizers. And then we don't have that picture here, but this farm also creating the biogas from that sludge of that piggery to support that we don't have that any firewood, only the biogas support that the 12 persons cooking every day. And chicken, and there's different animals, and then a fish pond. This kind of the different kind of the income sources for the farmers, how they can create that, more profitable. Profit is not only for money, but at least that, for the subsistence or sustainable agriculture, how they can make it. And at the same time, this farm has no salary basis. So those farmers, whatever that they produce, they found their own market, and then they make their own profit, and then that's what. And then to sustain this farm, and then we also relate to that community with the different elementary school and high school, and then those teachers association is now making that the sort of that regular science camp visit, that the students is really visiting our farm to see that this kind of the technology and then practice of the farming. At least that they understand that the importance of that, how to produce their own food, because they are also that daughter or son of that sugar workers in the surrounding community. But for visiting that this farm, they are getting realized that the importance of the agriculture in the future. And then this kind of a practice is quite still small and in small cases, but I'm sure that once we are talking to so big problems from that yesterdays. But how to make this community? We decided to start from the community basis completely, and then even before that we are talking about how to market these pigs or vegetable or whatever. But once you do that the practice, grow locally, grow consume. It's a type of that relation is that once we are not selling that vegetable, this is an organic way, so that you have to buy very little bit, additional value or something. We never say to that people, but the people gradually get the vegetable. It's very